Your future holds an infinite amount of future possibility. Everything is possible for you. You could decide to create whatever it is that you want. This is what quantum physics has told us, right? Everything in this universe, in the quantum field, exists here now in a state of energy, waiting for you to observe it, to collapse it from wave into particle, right? So the question is then, how can you create what you want in the future? What is it that determines what are you going to be creating in your life next? What is it that determines your future? To answer this question, you got to first answer the question of how did you got here where you are right now? Because if you look at your past life and where you got here and what brought you here, you can learn some very important lesson. And the main key element that got you here is your state of consciousness, who you were being along the way, and all the experiences, anything that happened that brought you exactly where you are right now watching this video. And so the question is this: if you want to create something radically, dramatically, or a little bit different in the future compared to what you had or what you have now, it means simply that your state of being, who you are, has to equally dramatically change as well. In order to be able to create different, you have to become different. Yeah? And so we could say that your state of being, who you are being, has created your current life right now. And if you remain the same, you think the same, you have the same energy, you do the same thing, you will remain here along the same timeline, experiencing the same thing. And this is how most people live, is that their future potential is somewhere here, right? They can improve a little bit or they can digress a little bit, but it's somewhere along that familiar known, what they know, how they know the world to be, how they know themselves, and how they know everything, right? So they use the past experiences, the past knowledge, the past information, the past conditioning to create from that. So there is no novelty in who they are. There is no novelty in the way they think. There is no novelty in their paradigm. And so they remain according to what is, and they keep experiencing life to the same old eyes and the same old mindset. So to answer the question of how do you create anything different in your life is to simply understand that, okay, if I want to be here with more money, a better job, a relationship, this or that, whatever it may be, fitter, healthier, I need to start thinking greater, right? The predicament here is that, okay, how do I raise my energy, my consciousness, whatever you want to call it? How do I observe that future possibility and collapse the wave into particle? I need to think it first, because if I can create a mind, a thought first, before I can even see it, before I can even taste it, before I can even touch it, and if I can start creating that thought, that level of energy in my mind, if I can sustain it, and if I can impress it on my mind, and if I can create a level of energy, and if I can show up in my world with that attitude, with that state of being, with that self-image, well, I am automatically putting myself on a very different, what we could call lifeline or future timeline, or whatever word you prefer. And if you sustain it, sooner or later, you're going to be rising into that state. Why? Because the state brings about the result. Because when you start thinking that way, and you start acting, and you start feeling, and you bring that attitude, right? And you crush the old paradigm, and you let go of the old idea that belongs to this timeline, and you start adopting the ideas and the belief and the conditioning and who you need to be and the energy that belongs here, your life will start to gradually match that new level of energy. So essentially, your whole relationship with the world and with yourself and with people and with money and with love and with this and with that has to expand. And this is really what it takes. The challenge here is that it's not just I click my fingers and my whole paradigm has completely transformed. Yeah, everybody wants a quick fix. Everybody want to be here, and then I snap my fingers, I watch a YouTube video, I do a 5-minute meditation, and tomorrow I wake up there and I'm done, and I don't have to do shit, and I don't have to get up from the sofa. It's not that simple, because who you are being after you get up from the sofa is the most important. because this process is never off. If you do your 5-minute meditation, you visualize and you're in that state for 5, 10, 15 minutes on that sofa doing your affirmation or that technique, right? So you're conditioning yourself and you're there. And then you step up from the sofa, you go into your car and you go road raging, attacking, judging others, pissing on everything, being the victim. You're back here. And if you're back here, you're creating from back here. You're creating from the state of energy, the state of consciousness from back here. So you cannot expect anything from there because you do not belong there. So you can deceive yourself by feeling like I'm doing all the right thing, I'm scripting, and I'm watching books, I'm reading manuals, whatever. As long as you're not living there to the best of your ability. This is not about perfection. This is not about being there 24 hours and so on. But to the best of your ability, no longer when you're being triggered by something, right? You're here, you're interacting, and something that used to trigger it. You see a bill, you see money lacking, you see something you really want and you can't afford it. Instead of going to this whole scarcity mindset that maybe you've been experiencing along this timeline, you pause, and in your thoughts, you choose to respond differently. You choose to speak about money differently. You choose to speak and react and respond to the situation differently. Now you're growing, now you're evolving, now you are conditioning your mind to a greater mind. And if you do that every single time, instead of going into the judgment, instead of going into the old state, instead of going into the same old unconscious program, looking at the world through the same old eyes, and you keep expanding, you keep thinking greater and better quality thought, which leads to better quality emotion, meaning your energy, your vibration is changing, and you sustain that. It becomes a habit, meaning who you are habitually, and your energy, and what I call on this channel, if you've been watching my channel for a while, your self-image has changed. And now this becomes normal. It becomes who you are. And the most funny thing happens is that when you're really there and you wake up one day and you're like, it feels so strange to think I used to be there and think like that and act like this, because it almost feels like it's not me anymore, right? It's like you look at that past version of yourself and you're like, how could I have ever been there? I feel like I'm so different. I feel like I'm a completely different person. And that's when you know that subconsciously deep between yourself, you have anchored that changed. And by then your life will look completely different. The people you attract, the situation and everything will mirror back who you're being. So the process of creating a different future, of choosing a different timeline, of lifeline, or whatever you want to call it, the process of creating something different starts by choosing different thoughts in your mind. And when you condition them, and when you start feeling, entering into that state, as Neville Goddard would say, and then you back this up with acting differently, showing differently, making different decisions, doing what needs to be done, and you do that over and over again, one step a day will take you a long way. And before you know it, life will give you evidence. Life will surprise you. Life will meet you halfway, because when you change and you show your commitment to change, life will show you that same commitment. So I hope this video makes sense. It's a simple process. If you want to know exactly how you can think greater and so on, there's a lot of videos on this channel that breaks down the process. I don't want to go into this in this video because we'll be there for a long time. If you need help on your journey, you're here, you feel stuck, you feel like you don't know, you tried everything, and you can't seem to be reaching that state, there's a link down in the description where you can work one-on-one with me. You can book your free discovery call down in the description, and together we can break down those limitations and get you on that new timeline. Let me know what you think down in the comment. Thank you for watching this video, guys. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time. Be well.